You think we're in a housing bubble and the market's going to crash? This is Beth Helvey with Control Real Estate. I hope you're doing well today. So let's start off by saying there isn't going to be a crash, and this is not a housing bubble. What this is a supply and demand issue. So when the pandemic started and people realized they could work from home, or maybe they just weren't happy with their home, a lot of people moved and there wasn't a lot of inventory on the market. That created your supply and demand issue that we all learned about in high school. So some things you need to know is that there is a shortage of homes, and the builders are not going to get us out of this. They're not building fast enough, and frankly, they have had issues, of course, in the past with getting supplies and labor and that sort of thing, and the pandemic put everything to a slow crawl and sometimes even a halt. We literally do not have enough inventory for buyers right now. So that's a supply and demand. That is not part of what goes on with a housing crash. Now, the other thing that you need to be aware of is that the mortgages are different now than they were. So when we were leading up to the crash, that crash that everybody's worried about back then, lenders were giving out loans to anybody. We used to call them pulse loans. You got a pulse, you got a loan. And they gave them to anybody and everybody. I mean, I remember qualifying for a loan that was way above what I could comfortably afford. So they were doing that. And now lending standards are so much more strict. So in order to get a loan, you actually have to qualify for a loan. I've heard all kinds of stories, even with people who are leaving their state and moving to another state because they're telecommuting. There are lenders out there that want to make sure your employer will not call you back to that home state. They're paying attention to this. They are being more strict about making sure that people qualify for the loans that they're giving, and they can actually pay their mortgage when that mortgage starts to roll in. The other thing is that people think that the foreclosures, that there's going to be a lot of foreclosures, that there's going to be a wave of foreclosures around the corner. Most people in this country have a decent amount of equity in their home. So even if they were in forbearance, which happened last year, we're no longer doing forbearances, even if they were in forbearance and then for whatever reason couldn't pay that forbearance back, or they had that balloon payment that they didn't know about, then they still have enough equity in their home that they could sell that house and not have to go into foreclosure. And a lot of people who were in forbearance during that time either put that money aside just in case, or they continue to pay their mortgage payment. They just had that forbearance there in place as kind of a safety net just in case they lost their jobs or lost their income. So we're not going to worry about that. And as a matter of fact, our foreclosure numbers are still lower than they were pre-2019. So we're not going to see a lot. We're going to see a few. We'll probably get to the point where we may get back to normal foreclosure numbers, but we're not going to see a wave of them like we did after the crash last time. Because don't forget, what a lot of people were doing is they were pulling money out of their houses like an ATM. They treat it like an ATM. They were buying boats and buying cars and going on vacations and spending that money, never thinking that anything was going to change. People aren't doing that now. People learned their lesson, and they're getting that equity in their house after the rise in prices, and they're sitting on it, and they're using it for future use. Maybe they'll sell after a while, maybe they'll do a lateral move, maybe they'll downsize, something like that. But they're sitting on that equity instead of pulling money out of their house as if it were an ATM. So we're not having that going on either. So if you have any questions about this, I would love to talk to you about it, because I run into people all the time who insist that there's going to be a crash, insist that we can't maintain these prices when we are maintaining these prices, and that the world's going to fall apart like it did in 2008. So it's not going to happen. If you have any questions about those graphs that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm going to post them underneath this video and you can take a look at them. So this is Beth Helvey with Control Real Estate. I hope you're having a good day today. If you get the opportunity to get some vitamin D, I encourage you to do so. Wear your sunscreen, drink a lot of water, and I'll talk to you later. Bye now.